Okay, so here we go. We're talking about enterprise systems. Like I said in the in the introduction, we spent most of the term sort of talking about, holistically looking at our enterprise architecture and, how do we architect an environment where we can adapt quickly to the changing customer dynamic to support the business strategies going forward. What we're going to talk about this week is sort of brass tacks of some of the core systems that need to be operated for almost any business. And these are the enterprise systems that we'll discuss. Mostly your enterprise resource planning, your supply chain management, and your customer relationship management. These are functions that any business has to have, and there's a lot of companies out there that have really just done it well. So leverage what's out there. Don't try to reinvent the wheel and get those systems in. And that's what we're going to talk about this week. Basically where we came from is legacy systems. As bigger businesses grew, IT needs grew, and then the answer to all this stuff was the IBM 370. In the 60s and 70s, IBM came out and said, hey, we got this giant mainframe. This will adapt. This will do everything that you need from a programming standpoint to hire a bunch of analysts to get on the thing and program what the business needed. It was great. But the fact is it couldn't change the changing environment within IT. Number one, there was high maintenance costs to it. It was inflexible. You couldn't actually do what was beyond it. There were a lot of integration obstacles to hooking up anything new. And frankly, there was just it took a lot of staff to run the thing. So it was great in the fact that it was able to automate a lot of systems, but it struggled to adapt over time. And so what happened over time is these enterprise systems came up as Unix became more prevalent, and definitely as Windows devices became more prevalent. You didn't have to necessarily live on the mainframe anymore, and that opened up the world to a lot of software companies who could come in and develop software specifically for the environment that they were targeting. So a lot of new systems emerged to address key strategic areas of the business without holding the entire company's information hostage like the IBM mainframe used to do. And those specific areas that we're going to discuss really is enterprise resource planning, supply chain management, and customer relationship management. Together, they run the enterprise operations and integrate really the core business operations and the processes for the business. And each one of those will operate sort of a different aspect of the business, but they also have to communicate with each other. So they're also sort of made to integrate at least their information with the other systems. Now, how do you implement one of these things? Usually an enterprise system is implemented by a third party. So there are companies out there that do this very well. Sometimes it's the actual ERP system, and they have a consulting operation. Sometimes it's other companies that come in and do that from a consulting basis. Either way, there are people that do this for a regular basis. What they often need to do, because they're coming in with a lot of best practices, is they may modify your business processes as well. So a successful implementation is going to include a redesign of your business processes, not those that give a business positive advantage, but those that were inefficient given the new technology, right? So we're looking to improve based on best practices, not only with the technology, but what they built the technology to improve a lot of businesses over time, so you can benefit from that. There'll be changes how people perform their jobs, integration of a lot of types of IS systems. And these third-party companies are very skilled at doing these things, okay? So let's talk about the three major systems that we're going to be discussing. There's enterprise resource planning. This is a kind of system that emerged in the 90s. A lot of firms do this. If you go out there and look for job sites and all this, there's a lot of stuff out there for Oracle, JD Edwards, Microsoft, SAP. SAP is a big one. On the healthcare side, McKesson. But they still only account for 28% of the business. So there's a lot of these software pieces out there that other vendors are coming out that might be specific and might be tailored in a way that really supports your business better. So you want to keep an open mind as to who you want to bring in to do this kind of a system for you. What it does is it enterprise internal applications, supports your external business processes, and links to external business partners. So it's enterprise resource planning. It can be supply. It can be how do you manage your tooling that you've got? How do you manage the people that you've got? All those things get built into an ERP system. Manufacturing process, financial, human resources, budgeting, sales, customer service, all those things. It gives you a basic system that you can start to do all those processes digitally instead of relying on the process that sort of grew up with your business. Rules for selecting an ERP. Find one that targets the company's requirements. Evaluate them based on their strengths and weaknesses. Meet with each vendor, get a hands-on demonstration, and then calculate whatever the total cost of ownership for that particular ERP is going to be. not only the license cost, but also when we implement this, how many people it's going to take to run it, how many people it's going to take to maintain it, what's the sort of maintenance fees going forward, all that kind of stuff. Think about success factors when you're talking about an ERP implementation. Focus on the business processes and requirements, what's going to be needed. Focus on measuring some sort of return on investment, right? If we invest in this system and buy it, what's going to be the return that the company gets on it? Put a strong project management team, okay? Don't rely on the vendor themselves. This is going to be core to your business operations. If something falls apart in your staffing or in your payroll or in your relationship with the customer, that's a huge problem. So make sure you get the best people on this team to work with the contracting team, make sure it gets implemented successfully. Gets a strong commitment from senior executives because undoubtedly there will be issues and there will be process changes that have to take place. And when those process changes come up, you're moving people's cheese and they're not going to like that. So make sure the senior executives on board that in the big picture and the big vision, this is something we need to do. Do the planning, get the change management in place. And remember, most foremost, this is not a slam dunk because it's vended software. You're changing information and process flows of the business. So the new software you're providing is really just a mechanism to support that. All right, and it's going to require a lot of integration and a lot of sort of work on your part to get it done. Next system we talk about is supply chain management. So when you're creating a product as a part of your business, everything that goes into that product that you buy from other companies is going to be part of your supply chain management system. The efficient management of flow and materials is an expertise that has been built into a lot of pieces of software over the years. There's a lot of companies that do this really well. Leverage their expertise. That's what the SCM system does. Procurement, sourcing, manufacturing, storage, inventory control, scheduling, order fulfillment, the distribution of all that goes into an SCM. They've already built the processes for this. It's designed to reduce uncertainty and variability in order to improve the accuracy of your forecasting. So when you need supplies to build your product, you want them there. You don't want a whole pile of stuff sitting in the warehouse that you're spending money to store. You don't want a bunch of stuff that you've paid ahead of time for. You want it just in time, typically, and you want it to be there when you need it. All right, so you don't want to be waiting to deliver stuff because you're waiting on supplies. So forecasting is key. There are companies that do that for a living. Leverage their expertise. It improves your decision making and it'll optimize the overall business flow. Here's your key flows that supply chain is going to be worked. Material flow, stuff from suppliers into your company. Information flow, the data from those same participants in the material flow. Who ordered what? What was the cost? When was it needed? Proof of delivery. What suppliers have good lead times? Are the lead times increasing, decreasing? That's all the kinds of things you need to have from an information perspective. In the financial flow, how are we transferring payments through all those participants? Making sure you get the electronic billing in right, making sure the billing schedules are correct. Are you 30 days out? Do you pay 60 days late? How are we going to manage all that? Put that all into the system. So there's a lot of back office elements of supply chain. That's logistics, right? The processes and information need to move the products from the origin to destination efficiently. Order fulfillment is then the delivery of that right product into the right place at the right cost. And that means there's a lot of steps involved there. There's arranging the payment method, check-in stock, arranging the shipment, doing the insurance for all of this whole process, doing the replenishment of any stock that you've spent, doing the in-house production itself, using the suppliers and sub-assemblies, contacting the customers, and also the reverse supply chain. You know, when you get returns, my gosh, how are you going to manage all that? You put a system in that can handle all that. They've already thought through all these processes, and they can do all that for you. The third system that we talk about is customer relationship management. And this is really what creates a total view of the customers to maximize the share of wallet, right? Meaning how much of your customers' income are you able to grab, and our overall profitability. How much margin can we get in each engagement with the customer? These CRM systems are designed to track that. They're designed to manage it. So your business strategy is to segment and manage customers to optimize that overall customer lifetime value, CLV as they call it, the dollar value of a long-term relationship with the customer. CRM system is designed to get that customer in-house and own that customer, right? Like automobile, like we know automobile companies do, right? They get you in and they want to keep you buying their vehicles. So a few years from now, they're going to try to upsell you on the next version of the vehicle. Those are big ticket items, but CRM is designed to let any business do that. If you buy iPhones, they want you to keep buying iPhones. If you use a lawn service, they want you to keep using that lawn service. those are the things that if they can keep you engaged with them, it's a lot less cost because they're not having to spend money finding new customers and convincing new customers they got a good product. You know what kind of product they have. So if they can keep you engaged, that's what the CRM system does. There's a lot of them out there. Salesforce.com, SAP, Microsoft, and Oracle have some. And what happens is your enterprise resource planning from the process perspective in your CRM system need to interface and share a lot of data, right? Because your customers are going to feed a lot of what you need to know from a supply perspective, and then vice versa. So methodologies and software to leverage that customer data are important to achieve the kinds of things that we're talking about here. Number one, identify the appropriate customer experience for each one of these customers, the loss of each of these customers. So what is it about these customers we need to keep doing to keep them buying our product? And how do we acquire new customers? Focus on the ones that have what we think will be the largest lifetime value, and how do we get them? How do we upsell? Meaning you sell more expensive products, like go from a small car to a large car, or cross-sell, saying adjusting product lines, like going from someone that has an Apple phone, how do we get them to buy an Apple Watch? Those kinds of things. Existing customers. These systems help you identify where there might be opportunities for those, what kinds of customers tend to do those, and then help you target those more effectively with your marketing and with your engagements. It reduces all those inefficiencies. Companies that understand their customers the best will have an advantage. That's really the goal behind the CRM. So those are the three systems I want to talk about. Go ahead and review those charts. A lot of reading this week out of the management book to kind of dig into the details of these systems. And understand how they get applied, and then think through how you would apply them within a business. That's it for this week.